All praises. Shalom, shalom, y'all. Man, how y'all feeling? All praises. Well, we can get started. Just picking up where we left off from last week. Gird, Loins, Part 2. So, as always, the scriptures expressed in this study are those of the author and not my own. Viewer discretion is advised. Guidelines for the lesson. We want to let all things be done with decency and order. These will help us all better serve one another. So these lessons are intended to be interactive. Please ask all questions, make statements in a microphone so everybody can hear you. We want to be mindful of the time, so please limit responses to roughly 60 seconds or less. This will give others an opportunity to ask questions and give input. We want to stay on topic. So if you have questions that do not pertain to the topic of the lesson, please hold those until after the study. This will help us better serve your question and give it the proper attention it deserves. And if we move on from a point and you don't get a chance to ask your question or make your statement, if by the end of the study it still hasn't been addressed, please hold this to the end of the study and we can revisit it. Hebrews 4:11, let us therefore do our utmost to enter into that rest, lest anyone fall after the same example of disobedience. For the word of Elohim is living and working and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through even to the dividing of being and spirit, and of joints and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and intentions of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all are naked and laid bare before the eyes of him with whom is our account. So, y'all know we touch this every week, and I don't know if y'all know this. Every time, matter of fact, we touch this every week, and we touch it twice, at the beginning and at the end. And I'm never running out of things to say about it. Like, just keep in mind, everything that we do, don't do, every strength, every weakness, everything, he sees it all. So it's no point in us running away from it. Instead, we need to lean into it and learn to see ourselves how he sees us. Because literally, that's how we're going to make progress in this thing with the Father. So these lessons are not directed at any one person or group, but are intended to be edifying and useful to all who have joined themselves to the covenant of Yahuwah. The Father is impartial and none can avoid him, even the person who is tasked with presenting this lesson, which is me, myself. So we are all held to this standard, and none of us are above his ways, corrections, and reproofs. Romans 2:1. Therefore, O man, you are without excuse, everyone who judges, for in which you judge another, you condemn yourself, since you who judge practice the same wrongs. And we know that the judgment of Elohim is according to truth against those who practice such wrongs. And do you think, O man, you who judge those practicing such wrongs and doing the same, that you shall escape the judgment of Elohim? And obviously we know the answer is no. So last week we saw this slide here, right? We talked about how this can be representative of us at times, right? You can start off chock full of energy, ready to attack the task head on. But then when you get in the middle of it, it's like you can lose heart. So we've been looking at it like, well, how does that happen? Why does that happen? We're going to continue with that today. All right. So question is, are you looking at yourself? Self-work, right? Deep self-work. What needs work? Every time we're going through these lessons, I keep telling y'all, when y'all see me, this is where I'm at. Like, really putting that work in on ourselves and finding out what needs fine-tuning. How can we get closer to the Father, and what more is the Father requiring out of me? What do I need to put off? What do I need to put on in order for me to get where he's trying to get me to? Because again, he sees us for our potential. He sees us for what we can become. Not necessarily where we are, but we got to put that work in and get where he's trying to get us to. So self-work generally refers to the process of working on oneself to improve or achieve a specific goal, whether it's for personal growth, mental health, or achieving a particular outcome. In a career context, it can also refer to being self-employed or working independently, where you manage your own work and business. So working on yourself. Self-work often includes intentional actions to improve various aspects of yourself, including physical health, mental well-being, emotional intelligence, and personal traits. So this could include exercise, learning a new skill, journaling, meditation, or therapy. It's about actively taking steps to enhance yourself and achieve personal goals. So now, like we said last week, goals, right? We talked about the New Year's resolution. And like, how many of those goals do we set and then don't follow through on them things? So now it's like, really, it's time to evaluate, well, what are the goals? Are they goals that are attainable? Are they goals that are worth even having? And are these goals going to put us in the same direction that the Father is trying to get us in? So now, what is a sluggard? So how many of us in the midst of a trial have felt like we just want it to be over? Like, literally, we was just talking about that. Like, literally just talking about that. How many of us are aware of certain strongholds or comfort zones that we have set up in ourselves, but keep failing to pull them down? So how many times have you known, oh, no, that's a thorn in my side. That's a sensitive area right there. I know I need to do something about it. But for whatever reason, it still hasn't been dealt with. How many of us are sick and tired of being sick and tired and just want to get to the place where we want to be in life? That's everybody, right? Like, you just want to be at the final destination. But we all know it don't work that way. So now you may not have said anything, but my guess is we all know the feeling. So this is a sentiment that is common amongst an enslaved or captive people, right? So our people, of any people, we understand that feeling, right? Like, we know what it's like to be the tail and not the head, right? Like, we know what it's like to be at the bottom and not the top. We know what it's like to be looking up from the bottom to the top and just wishing, man, if I could just. But the question is, why are we in captivity? Right? So this principle can be applied to us as a people or you yourself on a personal level. But even more, this is something that's common to all people. So remember, a sluggard does not want to put in the work for whatever reason to achieve a goal, but that does not mean that they don't have goals. Everyone has them, but not everyone endures and follows through. So just with us as a people, you can even look at it and see, like, yeah, some things have been inflicted upon us, but then also there is a level of it that is self-inflicted, right? Like, there is a level of it that's like, no, if we just do this and we do this, things don't have to be as hard as they are. I say all that to say that anytime you have goals, expect for work to have to be put in across the board with this is like a natural order of things. You're never going to be able to get results without having to put in work. Does not work that way. Proverbs 13:4. The being of the lazy one craves, but has not, while the being of the hard workers are enriched. So now, how does this process work in your being or your nefesh, your soul, right? Because the word for being there is like translated as soul. So like, your soul can be craving for something, desiring something, but you can have it not. While the soul, the being of the individual who's putting in the hard work, be enriched. So Matthew 6:19, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart shall also be, or your heart shall be also. It's up to you to store up these treasures. Ain't nobody else gonna store them up for you. It's up to you. So you got to decide, well, where's my heart going to be? If my heart is here on earthly matters, I'm only going to store up what? Earthly treasures. But if my heart is on spiritual matters, then I'm going to gain some spiritual treasures, some spiritual wealth, right? That's why I keep saying all of this is all about looking at yourself, evaluating yourself and seeing, okay, where am I and where am I trying to be? Where does the Father want me to be? And then saying, okay, so now let's count the cost on this. What's going to be required for me to get there? Again, we already went over the fact that he says, well, anybody who's put their hand to the plow, that's the work. Anybody that put their hand to the plow and then look back, they ain't fit. So it's literally, where are you storing up these treasures? Where is your heart at? James 4:1, where do fightings and strivings come from among you? Do they not come from your pleasures that battle within your members? So again, this is all about where your heart is. You desire and do not have. You murder and are jealous and are unable to obtain. You strive and fight and do not possess because you do not ask. So why don't they have it? They didn't ask for it. That means that they was expecting something without putting in the what? They didn't put in the work. You ask and you don't receive because you ask evilly in order to spend it on your pleasures. You want earthly treasures and you want to set your goals, but yet you asking the Father. So maybe it would make sense, make sure that your goals are in alignment with his goals. Then that's when we're going to start seeing progress. You put in the work towards his goals and we're going to reap the rewards. He says, adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with Elohim? Whoever therefore intends to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of Elohim. Now on the flip of that, if you make yourself an enemy of the world, you can make yourself a friend with Elohim. He says, or do you think that the scripture speaks to no purpose? Does a spirit which dwells in us intensely crave unto envy? But he gives greater favor. Because of this, he says, Elohim resists the proud, but gives favor to the humble. So then subject yourselves to Elohim. Resist the devil, and he shall flee from you. Draw near to Elohim, and he shall draw near to you. Cleanse hands, sinners, and cleanse the hearts, you double-minded. So what is he telling them to do? Put in the work. Wash your hands. Don't expect me to come wash them. You wash your hands. Cleanse your heart. Don't expect me to cleanse your heart. You cleanse your heart. Because you got to have that to deal with me. Right? All praises. Clean this mind up. Circumcise the heart. So do you think that you will have riches stored in heaven if you don't store them? So notice that this is something that you have to do for yourself. Yahuwah will not store these for you. He will grant them to you, but you must store them for yourself. In this, Yah is made just if you are found lacking. And we already know that there are going to be many that are going to say in that day, I did this for your name. I did that. I did this. And you're going to be like, hey, I never knew you. It's going to be many that are going to be found weeping and gnashing of teeth because they're on the outside. So this means what? They weren't putting the right work in. They weren't being diligent with the time that he gave them. They was being slothful with the time that he gave them. And instead of them becoming what it was that he wanted them to become, instead they tricked off their time and on whatever else it was that they wanted to spend it on. They stored earthly treasures, but never stored spiritual riches. James 1:2, my brothers, count it our joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the proving of your belief works endurance. And let endurance have a perfect work, so that you be perfect and complete, lacking in naught. Again, We're talking about spiritual treasures. The trials, everything is going to come your way because this is your opportunity to be proven, to be made whole, complete, perfect. And so many times when we get in the process of that, that's when we lose heart. And it's like the cat at the top of the tree. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of Elohim, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it shall be given to him. But if you want it, you got to do what? You got to ask for it. You got to put in some work. But he should ask in belief, not doubting, for he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. This is that back and forth, back and forth. Not stable, you just, anyway, right? Standing on the fence, double-minded. You haven't fully committed to it. You don't really believe. You asking it because, again, goals, everybody has them. But are you really willing to put in the work for it? That's the question. For that man should not think that he shall receive whatever from the master. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. So, again, like I keep saying, when it comes to you and your mindset, make sure you're not being a sluggard. Make sure that there's not work that should be being put in that you not putting in. Because just like with anything, it's going to come a point in time where the poverty is going to come. The hard time is going to come. It's literally right around the corner. And you're going to need to be able to depend on all of those riches that you stored up in the Shamayim. You're going to need it. So notice that many times we don't feel like addressing the thing in us that needs to be cleaned up. Consider the parable of the wedding banquet. The man came in with garments that were not proper. And when asked why he did it, he was speechless. He did not have an answer. He was just going through the motions without establishing any real intention. He had an intentional mind. Had he had an intentional mindset, he would have made sure to dress properly. So the same thing happens to us. And when the harvest time comes, we are found lacking. So this works spiritually and physically the same way. Genesis 3:17. And to the man he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, your Isha, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, do not eat of it, curses the ground because of you. In toil you are to eat of it all the days of your life. But the ground shall bring forth thorns and thistles for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you are to eat bread until you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you return. You said oh. Uh-oh. Oh, all praises. Okay, there we go. It should be coming back up any minute. All praises. Man, all praises. So Genesis 3:17 through 19. What we see. If you want something out of the ground, you got to do what? You got to put in the work. Now, at some point, we'll probably start going over like all of the parallels in Genesis of how literally the ground represents mankind and us as mankind. He formed the man, Adam, from the earth, the Adamah, like literally there's a parallel and so much to be learned between us and how the Father designed us to work and how the ground works. So when we work the ground, we're supposed to be understanding a whole lot about ourselves. You know, you stop tending to the ground is going to start bringing up what? Weeds, thorns, this, like you don't have to do anything to plant those, but if you want something good, you got to put work in. Do nothing and see what happens.
Yeah, that's literally what I was talking to me and you was talking about. Like when I go into that school building and I'm working with them kids, you know, I was trying to get these other teachers to realize like you're literally working with the ground. You're literally tilling the earth to be able to plant seeds. And what kind of fruit are they going to produce in our community? And so I made a likeness of, you know, these kids growing up and like the bumblebee goes to the flower and it get its pollen and it creates this honey and it's going to take it back to its community or colony to produce something for the rest of the world. It's the same concept. So yeah, you hit that right on the nose. Yeah.
All praises. Proverbs 14:4, where there are no oxen, the crib is clean, but from the strength of an ox comes much increase. Can somebody explain that to me? What is he saying here? Proverbs 14:4, where there are no oxen, the crib is clean, but from the strength of an ox comes much increase.
That's deep. If there's nothing, no animals or anything to create like a mess, there's no work. So if the crib is clean, it's clean. It doesn't matter because there's no animal there. But if you have a strong ox, you're feeding it, you take care of it, you're giving it what it needs, it's going to be able to produce or do for you. It's going to do well for you because of what you're doing for it. So yeah, like when there's animals, when there's an ox, it can be able to work and provide the increase. But if you don't have anything there, then it's going to stay clean, which means there's no work to be done.
All praises. Anybody got any?
There's no increase.
Anybody want to add just a little bit to that?
Well, also with an ox, you got to understand its nature. Just like you on the ground, you got to understand what it needs, what its attitude, its function is. You might have to train it to do certain things. You just can't have it and let it do what it wants to do. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand its nature, how it works, and how you need it to do the job that you want it for. So, basically.
All praises. Got Ryan.
So, I remember you did a lesson, the Paleo Hebrew. And out of them letters, you see that ox, that head of that ox, and it's like a representative of the Father. It says, but much increase is by the strength of the ox. Like you sitting here talking about if you don't put in the work to get closer to the Father, there's no increase. The Father is going to give you the increase. You know what I'm saying? He's that ox, that strength.
All praises. So we see how this can work in us as a print. Like he's not telling us that for the sake of the oxen, right? Like it is a lesson in it that he's saying it so that we can understand something about ourselves, a spiritual principle, right? So one might say, for sake of trying to avoid the quote unquote mess that the work causes, I'm going to just leave that alone. But now, mind you, not putting in that work, you're not going to have anything at the end of the day. It's going to benefit you that much more to work your ox. He might make a little bit of mess, but the benefit is going to be that much greater in the long run if you put him to work. Go ahead.
You know, I was just sitting there thinking, a lot about what you just said. But you said for that day. But see, the thing is, when you're using an ox, he's doing things for years and years to come. This is something that when he's out there, he's tilling. When you got him strapped and he's tilling that ground, he's breaking up that fallow ground, and he's softening it up so that it can be planted. This is what the Most High is doing with us. He's trying to break up that fallow ground that's within us, so he can plant his seeds in us, so that we will have an increase later on. But the thing is, we're not going to have this increase if we're not relying on this ox to get us down to the end of this field. And as I just said, Yah is that ox. He's that head. He's that one who's going to take us downfield. But if we're not willing to be broken, yeah, the crib's going to be clean, but you ain't got nothing in it.
That part. All praises.
Are you going to go over the parable of the talents?
Not today. Go ahead.
Can I just read like a part of it?
Absolutely.
It just makes me think about Matthew chapter 25. I'm just going to read the one who had the one talent and did what he did. Verse 24, and the one who had received the one talent also came and said, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And being afraid, I went and I hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours. And his master answering said to him, You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reaped where I had not sown and gathered where I had not scattered seed. Then you should have put my silver with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. Therefore take away the talent from him and give it to him who possesses 10 talents. For to everyone who possesses more shall be given, and he shall have overflowingly. But from him who does not possess, even what he possesses shall be taken away. And thrown the worthless servant out into the utter darkness, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So it just made me think about I'm just gonna save it, just keep it here. What I know won't kill me, what they say. But it's like, no, you need to be able to understand what's going on. You have to do the work, because he may come. Well, he's gonna come back and say, no, you didn't do anything. So what you you're not worthy.
All praises. So we know that standing still, stagnation is not an option, right? Like, that plan ain't gonna work, because it's gonna come a point in time when the harvest time is gonna come, and the only way that you're gonna be able to have a harvest is if you put in the work. That's it. So that means that it might be some dirty work that comes along in that process, but put in that work, because you're gonna gain that much increase. Matthew 7:7, ask and it shall be given to you, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who seeks finds, and into him who knocks it shall be open. Or is there a man among you, if his son asks for bread, shall give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, he shall give him a snake? If you then, being wicked, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall your Father who is in the Shamayim give what is good to those who ask him? So now notice all of these are verbs, meaning they all require an action from you. So the one who is a doer of the work is who is receiving the reward, right? So you put in the work, you're going to eat of the fruit of your labors. Psalm 128:1. Blessed are all who fear Yahuwah, who walk in his ways. So if you walk in his ways, you're going to receive what? Blessing. Okay. You shall eat of the labor of your hands. You shall eat of the labor of your hands. Be blessed, and let it be well with you. Be blessed. Let it be well with you. You putting in this work, you ain't got to worry about it. Don't stress over it. When harvest time comes, you're going to reap, because you put in the work. Let your wife be as a fruit-bearing vine within your house, your sons like olive plants all around your table. Look, so shall the man be blessed who fears Yahuwah. Yahuwah shall bless you out of Zion, and let you see the good of Jerusalem all the days of your life. and let your children's children. Peace be upon Israel. Proverbs 13 and 18. Poverty and shame are for him who ignores discipline, but he who heeds reproof is esteemed. A desire accomplished is sweet to the being, again the soul, the nephesh. But to turn away from evil is an abomination of fools. If you a fool, you ain't gonna see the value in putting in that work on yourself. That's gonna be an abomination to you. You're gonna be repulsed by it. Stop doing what I'm doing for what? Change for what? But when you accomplish a thing, when you put in work towards it, and you've worked, and then you finally hit the goal, man, that does something for your soul. Proverbs 6 and 1, my son, if you have become a guarantor for your friend, have shaken hands and pledged for a stranger, have been snared by the words of your own mouth, have been caught by the words of your mouth, do this at once, my son, and deliver yourself, for you have come into the hand of your friend. Go, humble yourself and urge your friend. Give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hunter's hand, and like a bird from the hand of the trapper. Go to the ant, you sluggard, or you lazy one. See her ways and be wise, which, having no commander, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer, gathers her food in the harvest. How long would you lie down, O lazy one, when you arise from your sleep? When do you arise from your sleep? A little slumber, a little folding of the hands to lie down, and your poverty shall come like a prowler, and your need as an armed man. So again, spiritually, how many times have we saw the thorn in the side, saw the issue, knew that it needed to be taken care of, and then we, oh yeah, I'll get around to it. I got a little bit more time. It'll be all right. And then, boom, now we scrambling because it's like, oh, no more time. Again, I know because I done been there probably more often than not.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and tell them.
All praises.
So, start off, I'm trying to make it real quick. So my ceiling was starting to bowl and it was hanging down, and I thought it was some water damage. So I got up in the crawl space to see if the insulation was wet, and maybe that was what was heavy on the ceiling, but it was dry. Make a long story short, I had a dream a few days ago, like my whole living room ceiling fell through. And I'm looking up through the roof like, man, it's about to rain. I'm looking at the stars, and I'm like, man, I'm about to have to get a hotel room. And so I wake up the next day. Each day I walk past, and I'm looking at it like, so I called this guy to come over, because he was supposed to have fixed it, this weekend or whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's going to be okay. It's not going to fall through. So Thursday, me and Candace, we go to the Roosters. We chilling, eating chicken wings, and I get a phone call. Dad, you ain't gonna believe this. The ceiling fell through. I said, oh my goodness. Now mind you, both sides, he give me this dream and I see it, but I don't move on it. I'm listening to him. See what happened? You know what I'm saying? I'm trusting this man telling me, oh, you be fine, it ain't gonna fall through. Yeah, But I've been knowing, and I should have been moving. And didn't move. And sure enough, it fell all the way through. And if y'all see these pictures that I got on my phone, y'all be like, oh my goodness. Insulation, all the brand new furniture and everything. Broke my tables, all kind of stuff. But, again, the Most High is good. We had just walked out of the house. It just so happened that everybody in my house left that day. My daughter was supposed to have my grandkids over there, but she didn't bring them. We might have been gone maybe 45 minutes, and exactly where it fell is exactly where I usually sit at. And like I told you, I just counted it all joy because I know that the Most High is talking to me. At least He's dealing with me. He warned me, and I didn't move. So now I'm like, okay, yeah, like you said earlier, and we learn how to discern and hear that voice. You know what I'm saying? And take heed to the warnings that He's giving you through your dreams. And I didn't move, being a sluggard. I could have avoided all this. You know what I'm saying? They ended up paying $100 or something just to zip it back up into the silk. Nah. Being a sluggard, you know, messing around. So, yeah.
All praises. So, like, literally, that's how it can work, like, physically and on a spiritual level. Like, sometimes there could be things that the Father is pulling your coattail on and letting you know in a nice way, hey, get this wrapped up, button this up before I have to deal with it. Hey, deal with this. Get this taken care of. Because if you don't, we'll put it off. But He's saying, look at the ant. Go to the ant, you sluggard. They don't need to be told. They see that it needs to be taken care of, and they get on it. They take care of it. So the sluggardly mind is something that you have to be intentional about fighting. So this is how we pull down the strongholds. This is why you gird your loins with truth. The truth is what will set you free from the false reasonings that we operate out of that keep us bound. So these are the things that keep us both bound to physical and spiritual poverty. So remember, we started this lesson looking at the picture of the cat in the tree. So the cat was capable of climbing the tree, and it was also able to climb down if it could take courage and gird up its loins. But oftentimes we lose heart in the midst of the battle, the top of the tree, and this causes us to retreat to our stronghold. So this is why identifying and dealing with the trauma is so important. We must believe in Yahuwah and put our trust in Him and put forth the proper action. If we lose heart or do not fight against that feeling of being overwhelmed or defeated, we will be overwhelmed or defeated. So Proverbs 24:30, he says, I passed by the field of the lazy and by the vineyard of the man lacking heart. And see, it was all overgrown with thorns. Now, remember, I just told y'all that Genesis 3 and that parallel between the state of the ground, the natural ground, and how we are, right? So he's saying, hey, I looked, and there's a parallel that's taking place between the land itself and the owner of that land, right? This is that I passed by the field of the lazy. So the owner is lazy, not putting in work on his field. The man lacking heart. And see, it was all overgrown with thorns. What y'all think his spiritual state might have been? Is it possible that that might have been overgrown with thorns as well? Its surface was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. When I saw it, I set my heart on it. I looked and received discipline. When he saw it, he looked and said, like, man, why? Why would he do this? And sometimes it's like that. It's easy to see it when you're looking at somebody else, right? When you're looking at somebody else, it's like, man, why in the world would you? All you had to do was do this, that, and the third, and that would have fixed the problem. Now you done let this mess happen. It's harder to see it when it's looking in the mirror, right? They said, when I saw it, I set my heart on it. I tried to get some understanding for this. He said, I looked and I received discipline. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. He said a little. It don't take much. Anybody ever seen a leaking faucet? It drip, 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 drip. It don't look like it's much water, right? Set a bucket underneath it and see how fast it fill up. I preaching to the choir. Been there, done that. Years ago, I had a toilet that was running. It was only running a little bit. All I had to do is get the kit and replace the fluid master and all that in the internals. That's all I had to do. Wasn't nothing but a $30 kit at best, and that come with parts that I didn't even need. Keep looking at it. Oh, it ain't leaking that much. It ain't leaking that much. Boy, that water bill came back almost over $1,000. And then to make matters worse, the city was in disbelief. They sent somebody over like, well, before I got the bill, because they had caught it. Like, let's make sure and change out your meter. Your meter must be broken. Nah, it wasn't broken. I had a running toilet in the house. It was just running. And it seemed like a little bit, but by the end of that billing cycle, it was over $1,000. Looked at it and said, oh, my goodness. Look at what I just cost myself because I kept procrastinating and not putting in the work that I know needed to be done. It only was going to take me 10 minutes to fix, if that. Just a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest can turn into big problems. And your poverty shall come, a prowler, and your need like an armed man. Your need like an armed man. That's like when they pull up on you, ain't no reasoning, ain't no, it's right here, right now. Nothing you can do about it. Give up the goods. Run that. So notice how the same process can occur in you. Remember what we saw in Genesis with the land being cursed for the sake of the man. So it would produce thorns and thistles, and he would only eat by the toil and by the sweat of his brow. If the land would produce fruit, it would require hard work on his part. Now, we know that Galatians tells us about the fruit of the Ruach, right? Now, and it also tells us about the flesh, too. The stuff of the flesh is just do nothing, and it's going to be there. It's going to pop up on its own. But if you want to produce the good fruit, you got to put in the what? You got to put the work in. Matthew 13:18. Hear you therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and understands it not, then comes the wicked one and catches away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. So, in all of these cases, the ground is what? The heart of the person. But he that receives seed into stony places, the same as he that hears the word and immediately with joy receives it. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. Matthew 13:21. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that hears the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becomes unfruitful. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that hears the word and understands it, which also bears fruit and brings forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. So again, seeing how this process works on you, I brought it out earlier, breaking up that fallow ground. Prepare your heart to receive the seed of his word. And as long as you putting in the work on yourself to receive the seed, then you're going to yield at his correction. When you turn at his correction, it's going to bear good fruit. That's how your Ruach then you start to produce the fruit of his Ruach. He said in one place, let him that stole steal no more. Right? But you got to prepare your heart, and you have to change your heart. So I wanted to take a moment to examine Kepha or Peter to see what we can glean about girding up the loins of our minds and how our strongholds can lead to a spirit of doubt. So now this might seem like it doesn't make sense, but we will see exactly how this works in a moment. We'll get a glimpse of Peter, and we'll see how this same process can occur in us. So Luke 5:1, and it came to be while the crowd was pressing upon him to hear the word of Elohim, that he stood by the lake of Gennesaret, and he saw two boats standing by the lake, but the fishermen had gone from them and were washing their nets. And entering into one of the boats, which belonged to Simon, he asked him to pull away a little from the land, and he sat down and was teaching the crowds from the boat. And when he ceased speaking, he said to Simon, pull out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch. And Simon answering said to him, Master, we have toiled all night and have caught none, but at your word I shall let down the net. So he said, we was working, but we was working in vain. And when they did so, they caught a great number of fish, and their net was breaking. And they mentioned to their partners in the other boat to come to help them. And they came and filled both the boats so that they were sinking. And when Simon Kepha saw it, or Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at the knees of Yahushua, saying, Depart from me, for I am a man, a sinner, O Master. For astonishment had seized him and all those with him at the catch of the fish which they took. So too were James or Jacob and John, the sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. Then Yahushua said to Simon, Do not fear. From now on you shall catch men. And having brought the boats to land, they left all and followed him. So now the question is, what's your purpose? Right? What was Peter's purpose? From now on, you're going to go and catch men. So in his mind, does he see what he can become? Clearly no. What did he say? Depart from me. I'm a man, a sinner, O Master. But the Father is already, no, this is what I got for you. Mashiach's sitting there telling him, no, you're going to be a fisher of men.
But you actually see that happen very often in the scriptures. You know, you got Jeremiah. He says, I'm a kid. You got Ezekiel. You got Isaiah. I mean, you got Moses. You know, this is always. It seems like it's always the instance. I'm not worthy enough to do this. Why are you picking me? Who am I? Right? Who am I? Who am I that you would consider me? You know. So, you know, it's the toil that he showed that he was a worker because he sat out all night, even though he came back empty, you know. And a lot of times this is what we fail to do. We fail to realize that we're putting in work because we just think from a different point of view, but we don't see things how the Most High sees in us. We like, well, I'm not good enough for this and I'm not good enough for that. Yeah, I tried to do this, but I failed at it, just like Peter just did. I've tried to do this, but I failed at it. And the Most High just he corrected me. He said, well, that's only because I'm making you this type of fisherman, not that type. He wants you to be what he wants you to be, not what you think you should be. We have goals set in our lives, but our goals don't always match up to what he's designed for us. You know, and then we wonder why it's so hard to get there. It's because we're trying to dig up ground that don't belong to us. We're looking at that field just a moment ago. We're looking at that field where the sluggard done let it overgrow, and we're like, how do you do this? How do you do? We're sitting up and we're trying to dig up ground that doesn't belong to us.
So you can see how sometimes when it comes to us putting in the work, right, our experiences can skew the vision, right? Based off of his experience, hey, we've been out here all night. Fish ain't biting, they ain't biting. Ain't nothing out there. Not understanding that, no, if you just keep enduring and then you be obedient, listen to what I'm telling you and do it the way I'm telling you to do it, you don't get more than you can handle. You just got to endure in the process long enough. be obedient to the end, and it'll come. And then you just might find that not only are you going to get the physical blessing, but you're going to get a spiritual blessing on top of it, where, hey, not only am I blessing you here, but I'm also going to bless you on this side of it too. You're not going to just be a fisher of men. This is the small, or of regular fish. This is the small. My plan is that you're going to be a fisher of, and he didn't just bring up a small yield. He showed them, no, you're going to fish many men. So far, what can you glean about Peter's character? Would you consider this humility, or could this be a manifestation of self-doubt mixed in?
Most of the time it's self-doubt, because we don't see, most of the time we don't see ourselves as the Most High sees. We don't even see ourselves as how other people see us. You know, there's been more than one occasion where somebody has said something to me, and I looked at them like, you don't lost it. That's not me. But yet come to find out, it's exactly who you are. And it's not so much as humility. It's just that you just don't believe in it. You just don't believe it in yourself. And I'm going to digress with that one.
All praises. So you see how sometimes it can be easy to confuse the two, right? Sometimes it's not a matter of humility, it's just self-doubt. Look at Shaul, King Shaul, right? Was that humility that he had in the beginning when he was hiding himself and doing it, or was it just self-doubt? Because when the moment came and he had arrived, was that humility there? Nah, he was operating in full-blown pride. So sometimes it can look like, and you can think that it's, but no, it's not that. It's just self-doubt.
Because sometimes the Father will show you glimpses, and you will see it and you'll believe it in that moment, and still allow the self-doubt to come in. So I must definitely see how it would look like humility, but it's really, I'm seeing you work. You spilled the boat. And yeah, I digress.
All praises. So just as we continue, just keep in mind that names mean something, right? Because he's going to start as Simon, and then in the process, he's going to be called Kepha or Peter or Rock, right? So just as a side note, the Rock is what he can become. But starting off, does he see himself as that? No. So as we go through today, we're going to see that there's a process to him becoming that, right? Like, he didn't start that way, but he's going to start going through certain things and certain tests that are specifically designed for him, that it's going to start shaping and molding him into becoming that Rock, right? So John 1 and 35, again the following day, John was standing with two of his taught ones, and looking at Yahusha walking, he said, "See the Lamb of Elohim." And the two taught ones heard him speaking, and they followed Yahusha. And Yahusha, turning and seeing them following, said to them, "What do you seek?" And they said to him, "Rabbi," which means teacher, "where are you staying?" He said to them, "Come and see." They went and saw where he was staying, and remained with him that day. Now it was about the 10th hour. Andrew, the brother of Simon Kepha, or Simon Peter, was one of the two who heard from John and followed him. First he found his own brother Simon and said to him, "We have found the Mashiach," or the Messiah, which means the anointed. And he brought him to Yahusha, and looking at him, Yahusha said, "You are Simon, the son of Jonah. You shall be called Kepha, or Peter," which means stone. All right, so his purpose, what he can become, versus where he is. And he don't have to get to what it is. He's going to have to go through the process of becoming. Matthew 14 and 22. And immediately Yahusha made his taught ones enter into the boat and go before him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. And having dismissed the crowds, he went up to the mountain by himself to pray. And when evening had come, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, agitated by the waves, for the wind was against it. And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahusha went to them walking on the sea. And when the taught ones saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a phantom." And from fear they cried. But immediately Yahusha spoke to them, saying, "Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid." So what is girding your loins? Taking courage, right? Preparing yourself for a battle. And Kepha answered him and said, "Master, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." And when Kepha had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Yahusha. But when he saw that the wind was strong, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Master, save me." And immediately Yahusha stretched out his hand and took hold of him and said to him, "O you of little belief," or little faith, "why did you doubt?" And when they came into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat came and did bow to him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of Elohim." So what just happened there? The cat went up the tree and got afraid to come back down. But notice that all of these experiences are going to be the thing that's shaping and molding him to be actually able to function as the rock, right? How can he function as the rock if he going to get out into the water and then the waves going to take him under? And this is a fisherman, so he know about the water. You done been out there in the storm at sea before? But in the throes of it, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen. Then I took it upon myself to hop out of the boat and walk on the water. Boy, what was I thinking? But again, same thing can take place with us. Now, in this process, all along, what is the Father showing them? As we keep going with Peter, we're gonna see like he really does have to become. Peter got to a point where he's like, where you think you are? You still got some work that you need to be putting in, and I'm trying to get you to see that it's some work you need to be putting in for you to be the rock. He already knew what his destiny was, and he tried to tell him time and time again, hey, it's going to come a point in time where I'm not going to be here, and I'm going to need you to care for the flock. All the while, Peter is ignoring that, not paying no mind to it. Matthew 26:30. And having sung a song, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then Yahusha said to them, all of you shall stumble in me this night, for it has been written, I shall strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered. But after I have been raised, I shall go before you into Galilee. And Kepha answering said to him, even if all stumble in you, I shall never stumble. So again, it's some work that Peter need to be putting in. Mashiach letting them know, hey, bro, you're not as solid as you think you are. You ain't ready. It's going to be some stuff that's going to happen that can shake you. Prepare now. Instead of him seeing it and dealing with the issue and actually putting in the work to prepare himself, what is he doing? Lying to himself. No. You ain't gotta die. That's not gonna happen. Don't say that. So more and more while he's leaning into his stronghold, which is Mashiach, his comfort zone, what makes him feel comfortable in the face of this adversity, Mashiach letting him know, hey, bro, there's gonna come a point in time where I'm not gonna be here. You need to get yourself ready. Matthew 26:34. Yahushua said to him, truly, I say to you this night, before the cock crows, you shall deny me 3 times. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Kepha said to him, even if I have to die with you, I shall not deny you. All the taught ones said the same too. So now at this moment, they all should be girding their loins in preparation for what was to come. Should have been getting themselves ready. Okay, so what do you need of us? What should we be doing? You got some out? Praises. So that's what they should be doing, girding up their loins. Get ready to engage in this battle, because we don't know what's about to happen, but he's saying something. But instead, what do? Oh, no, not me. Never me. This man tripping. What is he talking about? So now I want us to pay close attention to how a sluggardly mind can operate within us. If there's a situation that we don't want to deal with, we can push it off rather than prepare to deal with it. So this can be the case with all sorts of things in our lives, both spiritually and physically. Instead of dealing with the reality of the situation and growing from it, we can sometimes just ignore it, and ultimately the situation will have its way with us in the end, and we may be found lacking in that moment. Because again, poverty is coming like a prowler. It's going to be a time when you're going to need to reach in your pocket and ain't going to be nothing in there. John 12:27. He says, now I myself am troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this reason I came to this hour. What did he do? He prepared himself. I'm troubled. But what should I say? I knew this time was coming. I knew this was where things was going. I knew this was my purpose. So why run from it? It's time to deal with it. What should I say? Father, save me from this hour. No, I knew this was coming. He sent me here for this purpose. Father, esteem your name. Then a voice came from the heaven. I have both esteemed it and shall esteem it again. So the crowd who stood by and heard it were saying there had been thunder. Others said a messenger has spoken to him. Yahushua answered and said, this voice did not come because of me, but for your sake. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world shall be cast out. And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, shall draw all men unto myself. This he said, signifying by what death he was about to die. The crowd answered him, we have heard out of the Torah that the Mashiach remains forever. And how do you say the son of Adam has to be lifted up? Who is this son of Adam? Yahushua therefore said to them, yet a little while the light is with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. Hey, put in the work. Stay focused now while you got it, because might be a time where it might be some dark times coming. And he who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. Matthew 16:13. Now Mashiach just said, what? I'm going to die. And I'm going to accept this thing. I'm preparing myself now for that moment. This is what I came for. This is what he was trying to get the 12 to understand. But so often he had to say what? You a little faith. You a little faith. Y'all don't understand this? Matthew 16:13. Now when Yahushua came into the parts of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his taught ones, saying, who do men say the son of Adam is? And they said, some say John the Immerser, others Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. He said to them, and you, who do you say I am? And Simon Kepha, or Peter, answering said, "You are the Mashiach, the son of the living Elohim." And Yahushua answering said to him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar Jonah," or Simon son of Jonah, "for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in the heavens. And I also say to you that you are Kepha, and on this rock I shall build my assembly, and the gates of Sheol shall not overcome it. And I shall give you the keys of the kingdom of the heavens, and whatever you bind on earth shall be having been bound in the heavens, and whatever you loosen on earth shall be having been loosened in the heavens." Then he warned his taught ones that they should say to no one that he is Yahushua the Mashiach. From that time, Yahushua began to show favor, began to show his taught ones that it was necessary for him to go to Jerusalem and to suffer much from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and to be raised again the third day. So now what's happening? Mashiach is letting them know, hey, y'all, boom, boom, boom is about to happen. Y'all got to get ready for this day when this day comes, because it's coming. But what did Peter say? Verse 22, "And Kepha took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, 'Be kind to yourself, master. This shall not be to you.' But he turned and said to Kepha, 'Get behind me, Shaitan,' or Satan. 'You are a stumbling block to me, for your thoughts are not those of Elohim, but those of men.' Then Yahushua said to his taught ones, 'If anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake shall find it.'" So what is he letting them know? Hey, this is going to happen. Prepare yourself. Get yourself ready, because I see right now you're not ready. How many times has this same thing happened to us in our day-to-day? Father letting you know, hey, that problem is over there. Whether it be in the physical realm or something spiritual, whatever it is. It's like, hey, deal with that, because if you don't deal with that, the time is coming whether you want it to or not, and you would rather be prepared than not prepared. Keep in mind, his name is the Rock, and he just told him, I'm building this assembly on you. So I need you to be a certain kind of ready, because you're going to have to start walking and carrying the weight that I've been carrying. I prepared myself. I'm willing to give up my life for this. You said you was ready, but you ain't ready. But again, we're going to see how he's going through a process of becoming ready, being made ready. Verse 26, "For what is a man profit if he gains all the world and loses his own life? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his life? For the son of Adam is going to come in the esteem of his father with his messengers, and then he shall reward each according to his works." Galatians 5:22, "But the fruit of the Ruach is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, trustworthiness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no Torah. And those who are of Mashiach have impelled the flesh with its passions and the desires." So again, if you're trying to prepare yourself to become what he's trying to get you to become, it's some work you're going to have to put in, tilling your ground so that you can bear this fruit. And this is also going to be some weeds that got to get uprooted. That's a constant thing. You take time off from weeds, they going to pop up. And they'll start growing right there next to the fruit at the same time. Then you let them keep growing them. The more you notice, the fruit going to diminish and the weeds going to get stronger. That's how they work. Then you're going to look and be like, dang, I ain't bearing nothing. Plants is there, but they not bearing nothing. But the weeds is flourishing. That's how this thing works within us. So we see that Peter knew and understood what was to come, but he did not prepare for that day. Instead, he was a sluggard in his mind and just ignored the work that needed to be done within for him to be able to withstand and endure in that day. So instead of dealing with the reality head on, he strayed away from it and leaned on his own reasonings, right? His reasoning. No, you don't have to. No, you ain't going to go through that. Don't be easy on yourself. You ain't got to. But he already told him, this is coming. Get ready. What'd you say last week, Ak? Stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. And now's the time to be ready. Don't wait until then, because it's going to be too late then. The cock going to crow, and you going to deny me. So he did not want to believe that Yahusha, his stronghold, will be taken from him. Remember how I asked earlier if Yah, being our stronghold, can cause a sluggardly mind. Instead of dealing with the truth, Peter would rather operate as if the lie he has told himself is true. So this is subconsciously done, assuming that because we have Yah on our side, we don't have to do any work on our part is a faulty reasoning, right? You got to put in this work. Isaiah 55:1. Oh, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. The water ain't going to come to you. Come to the waters. It's your thirst here. And if you thirsty, hey, get up and go to where you can get that taken care of. We got issues. We got whatever it is. Get up, go to the one who can get that taken care of. But like he said, if you don't ask, you might not receive. He says, and you who have no silver, come, buy and eat. Come, buy wine and milk without silver and without price. So notice the only excuse is you can not have access. The only excuse that you won't have access is because you did not come, because what is offered is free. So literally, all you got to do is just come. He'll give it to you. Ask for the wisdom. He'll give it to you. It's a free gift, but he not going to give you something for free and then come to your house, drag you up out of your bed, and then drag you to the site. He not going to do all that.
I've seen a situation where a person was offered something and all they had to do was get up and go get it. Just get up and go get it. And they were like, nah, I don't feel like going across town to get that. It'll be there tomorrow. It'll be there. And then when they look up, it's gone. They're talking about, well, I should have went and got it when it was there. Mm-hmm. I've seen this personally happen with people around me. I'm like, why would you allow that to escape you when all you had to do was not be lazy, get up, go get it? If it was across town, oh well, then if you ain't have bus fare, walk. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just that simple. If you want it, you're going to go get it.
Mm-hmm. Remember what we saw earlier, where your treasures are stored up. That's where your heart is. So the real question is, well, how bad do you want it? Verse 2, he says, why do you weigh out silver for what is not bread, and your labor for what does not satisfy? Listen to me and eat what is good, and let your being delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear and come to me. Hear, so that your being lives, and let me make an everlasting covenant with you, the trustworthy loving commitments of David. See, I have given him as a witness to the people, a leader and a commander for the people. See, a nation you do not know shall call, and a nation who does not know you run to you, because of Yahuwah your Elohim, and the set apart one of Israel, for he has adorned you. Seek Yahuwah while he is to be found. So remember we was talking, ask, knock, seek. Seek Yahuwah while he is to be found. Call on him while he is near. Let the wrong forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to Yahuwah, who has compassion on him, and to our Elohim, for he pardons much. So again, he's willing to forgive all of that stuff, but you got to put that work in. You got to come to him. Whatever it is that he's telling you, hey, put that down, then come to me. Put it down and then come to him. Anything he's telling you, hey, grab that along the way. On your way up here, grab that and then bring it to me. Grab that and bring it to him. Proverbs 19:24. A lazy one buries his hand in the dish and does not bring it back to his mouth. We talked about this last week. This is you feeding yourself here. They used to say, how can I help somebody who don't want to help themselves? Don't be a sluggard when you know that the work needs to be done on you. And definitely don't expect anybody else to take care of it. Because I can guarantee you that they got their own work that they need to be doing. Proverbs 26:15. A lazy one buries his hand in the dish. It tires him to bring it back to his mouth. Lazy one is wiser in his own eyes than 7 rendering advice. So notice how you only need to humble yourself and put your hand to the plow. Gird up the loins of your mind and take action in what Yahuwah has commanded or instructed you. But if you do not put in the work, you will be lacking what you need in the day of testing. Right? So we're going to see that with Peter. He was being warned leading all the way up to that point. He done stepped out here on this water and saw the faith that you think you got, you don't got. Lean on me, I got you. And I flat out told him, hey, I'm about to die. That time is coming. I'm trying to get you to become this rock. But you got to accept that, and then you got to be willing to put in the work so that you can be prepared for that day. And we don't see that this is a process that keeps going on with Peter because he's not putting in the work. He's being a slothful, he's being a sluggard with what Mashiach is trying to prepare him for. Because he done got comfortable with Mashiach being there. Proverbs 8:1. Does not wisdom call and understanding lift up her voice? On the top of the heights along the way, between the paths she has taken her stand. Besides the gates leading to the city, at the entrances she shouts, O men, I call to you, and my voice is to the sons of men. You simple ones, understand insight, and you fools, be of an understanding heart. Listen, for I speak noble words, and the opening of my lips is about straightness. For my mouth speaks truth, and wrongness is an abomination to my lips. Now, remember, to the fool, taking heed that's the abomination to the fool. Two completely opposites, right? For my mouth speaks truth, and wrongness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness, none of them twisted or crooked, all of them plain to him who understands, and straight to those who find knowledge. Accept my discipline and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold, for wisdom is better than rubies, and all delights are not comparable to her. I, wisdom, have dwelt with insight, and I find knowledge, foresight. The fear of Yahuwah is to hate evil. I have hated pride and arrogance, and the evil way, and the perverse mouth. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding. Mightiness is mine. So now with that being said, we done for today. We got one more part. The gist of it is, pay attention to these moments now. Seek Elohim now while he is to be found, because it might come a point in time where a famine might come in the land. Not of food and water, but it might be of the word. Then you might be looking, okay, well, where's the father? Just like King Shaul, right? Father was near him. All he had to do was obey. Then it comes to a point where he going to the witch of Endor and seeking out mediums and everything else because he's trying that hard to hear from the Father. And he like, nope, I'm not here. Not for you. Mind you, all the while he was showing him, hey, you got some things about you got to deal with. They tell you at one point, throughout all of his doings, he not one time set up an altar for Yahuwah until it's basically too late. Now when he is setting up an altar, he gonna do the wrong thing with it. You know, see, it's the same thing that happens with Peter. You know, instead of preparing, then at the mount comes a point where he's like, listen, it's really about to go down now. Come up to this mountain with me. Pray with me. Watch and pray. Your spirit might be willing, but your flesh is weak. You still not ready. Your last chance to prepare yourself. And he going to sleep. A slugger. Literally, you seeing him being slothful with the task at hand. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Ryan.
But you know, I don't believe in coincidences. There's no coincidence that the Most High has put this on you to teach this lesson. So there's a lesson within this lesson. Get prepared. Literally. Like, this ain't just about a lesson. We ain't just sitting here for no reason just listening to this. The Most High is warning us right now. Get prepared. Don't be like me. Get the dream, get the warning. It's going to be okay. For real. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in the season. Still in these season of these feast days. Mm-hmm. What we coming up on now?
Mm-hmm. Shavuot is coming. Yep.
But if we ain't preparing, are we gonna receive that spirit? Mm-hmm. We in the season. Prepare yourself. Something is coming. I think we all believe that. I think we all know that. We know what time we in right now. It's only getting worse and worse.
And like, that's a whole nother thing about the season of Shavuot. You know, there's a counting that you're doing that takes place between the two, right? Yeah. You counting out these Shabbats. You counting each day. There's an Omer that they were counting, and each day you count this Omer, and count this for 49 days, and then a 50th day come, and then now here we are, time for the harvest again. But now instead of it being barley, it's gonna be wheat. Right. Yeah. So like, this is a whole period of preparation.
So, because we just had first fruits, but if you ain't planting these seeds, how you go get a sacrifice? It's happening over and over again, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's that time. So, I'm gonna keep on talking, but prepare yourself. Like, this is a reason why this lesson is happening today. It's not for nothing. Like, it's no coincidence.
All praises.
Oh yeah, all praises. Just listen to the lesson today. Most definitely, I can personally apply things to my life. How the Father, from the womb till today, how the Father preps us and do certain things in our lives to show. That's why I looked at with David, how he was being prepped to take care of his father's sheep, and how he was willing to sacrifice his life to go kill a lion, a bear, and even building up to becoming that warrior. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Mm-hmm. To the point where now he's king. So I'm just looking at how, with his life, how the Father showed him, hey, there's something special about you. Mm-hmm. So even I look back at my life far as even from my brothers being sick and how it skipped me. Why? You know, the doctors was doing tests to the point my mom made him stop because he was trying to figure out how did this gene skip the middle child. So it's like little thing that's really big, but it just mounts up to where he's like, man, he's still taking you through the processing and the training. As we get older, we deal with different situations. And like, how you going to do the situation? So, I most definitely this was most definitely a total lesson. Even watching how, man, how you going to change my name? Who are you that's going to change my name? But these are the transformations that we all need to go through to figure out what is your purpose. And it's I know used to tell me my name was Brian, and she's like, don't you know that mean king? I don't know what, but she's like, it's a powerful name. But even in our names, there's always a meaning, and sometimes you gotta be careful what you name your child. Hennessy, and you name your, just be careful. But I see the transformation. And a lot of times when you going through those transformations, people on the outside see it, but going back to the humility and the lack of faith, man, people see me like that. And sometimes people might take that as being you humble. And a lot of times it's just me. No, that can't be. It's a lack of faith, even though if you look back, you be like, man, I see how the Father has. I think I called Eugene Moray today. He's like, what?
All praises.
But it's a thing of how people see you, and you don't even see the greatness in yourself. So it's not, he wasn't trying to, all praises, but yeah, it was a total lesson.
All praises. Like, it's literally just a process of becoming. Like, in order for us to become anything worthy of the Father's plans, like, you're going to have to shed off some stuff. We're going to have to put on some stuff. But if he sees it, then it's worth putting in the work because it's a guaranteed harvest that's coming out of it.
I just wanted to speak on you had a question up there, what is your purpose? And it really is important to know that, because if, let's say you know your purpose and it's not looking like their journey to get to the purpose is not looking the best, then that's when you can say, okay, let me endure and stay to the end because I know what the Father told me. But if you don't know what the Father told you and you're not seeking to figure out, okay, we were all created to keep his commandments, right? But we also have other purposes in the life. We have to figure out, okay, how are we supposed to be operating, in the gift, or however we are supposed to be working as the Father is working in us. So it's like, okay, what is my purpose? What am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? When you know that, then it's like, okay, no matter what, I'm going to keep pushing forward. I'm not going to give up because I know what I was told. And it's easy it can be easier to endure when you know what you were supposed to do. But if you don't know, it can be like, man, just forget it. Like, because am I really supposed to be doing this? I'm not sure. And that's when he can send the confirmations and, he can get you back on track with your mind. But for us, it is definitely necessary for us to be able to just seek him, know what we're supposed to be doing, and try to follow suit and be obedient to the best of our ability.
All praises. Like I was saying last week, when you know what your purpose is and when you know what the goal is, that's gonna keep you grounded when the times get tough. But if you just doing it and you don't know where you're going, you just doing it because of the convenience of time or whatever it is for that season, then when times do get tough, it's just like that seed that was planted and it received it and sprouted up real quick, But because it had no root in itself, when the sun came out, it scorched it and dried it up. You know what I mean? So, like, literally it is knowing the purpose and knowing the goal, knowing where we're going, knowing what we're trying to become is everything, because it lets us know, okay, well, I'm not going to consider this a strange thing when I'm going through whatever I'm going through, because I know that this comes along with me becoming this. Like, it's just the way that it, you know, that cookie crumbles. So, yeah, next week we'll finish this out, Father willing. Jump back into Peter, see how this ends with Peter, and then look at a couple practical things for us to take away, see how this whole thing can work in us. So yeah, that I'm done. Yeah, with that being said, I mean, unless all praises, guess we can rise, close out, get ready to eat. All hearts and minds clear. Toda Abba Yahuwah. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father, for gathering us today on your Shabbat, allowing us to take part in resting wherever we might be. For those of us that are here in person, we say, thank you, Father, for allowing us to come together in fellowship with one another. Enjoy the rest together. Pray, Father, that you would continue to work on us and show us what we are to become. Equip us with what we need along the way so that we can become what we're called to be. Pray, Father, that you wouldn't leave us or forsake us and leave us as fatherless children. And with that, we also understand and accept that being called yours and being called a child of you comes with chastisement, correction, reproof. We ask, Father, discipline us as children. Prepare our hearts, our minds. Show us how to gird up the loins of our minds so that we can be ready to not just take action, but to war against all of the things that come our way, trying to deter us from the mission and from the plan that you have set out for us. Give us wisdom and insight on what you are calling us to be so that we have something to hold on to when times get difficult. And hold us accountable. Keep us honest when it comes to putting in the work so that we stay on task. Let us not be slothful or sluggardly with the things that we need to deal with on all levels, Father. And especially show us the work that we need to be putting in on ourselves. All we want to hear is, well done, good and faithful servant. Enter in. Faithful servant is one who faithfully put in the work. Pray that you would continue to be a rock for all of us. Bring comfort to your people in times of need. Give us what we need in order to keep our eyes focused on you. Forgive our sins, our transgressions, our iniquities. Everything in us that is not like you in the process of us trying to become. Thank you for Mashiach Yahushua, the Lamb that was slain for our sakes. Pray that you would bless the meal and the hands that prepared it. And with that, we give you thanks in the name of Mashiach Yahushua. We say hello to you, Yahuwah. Amen. Let it be so.